Dr. Johnson's writing desk, Dr. Johnson, who wrote the dictionary, his desk has been returned to the home where he once lived, but it may not really be his desk. Dr. Johnson, Samuel Johnson, was an English writer, essayist, poet, lexicographer, and the author of the Dictionary of the English Language, published in 1755. It's a book which is important because of its comprehensive scope, with 40,000 entries and detailed definitions with illustrations of how words can be used. And English is a language which is defined not so much by its grammar. I was having this conversation with somebody the other day, not so much by its grammar, but by its vocabulary. If you learn English grammar, you are still going to have difficulty sort of functioning in English. But if you learn vocabulary, you have no difficulty at all. The dictionary standardized English, and it played a crucial part not only in defining standard spellings, but also standard expressions. And there had been considerable inconsistency in the way that English was both written and spoken and punctuated before Dr. Johnson. Its cultural impact was astonishing. It became the authoritative source for writers, for scholars, for educators, cementing the importance of literary English and the significance of Dr. Johnson himself as a leading intellectual figure. And finally, it has in itself literary merit as the first dictionary. It's witty, it's personal, is not only a reference book, but a work of literature. And it's followed closely, in my mind, by the work of Peter Mark Roget and the Thesaurus. Roget was a physician, a natural theologian, and he follows up on Johnson in 1852, so almost 100 years later. It was designed to help people find words related by meaning, conceptually rather than alphabetically. And the structure is so beautiful. It's a valuable tool for writers, for speakers to expand their vocabulary and to find the right word to express their ideas. And I know that, today the thesaurus has entered the internet, but it's not in its full form, which is I find a great sadness. The obscurity of the words in the thesaurus is so beautiful. But the thesaurus itself has remained in continuous publication and is still, in its original book form, still very useful. And then there's the OED, the Oxford English Dictionary, which was first proposed in 1857. So just shortly after Roget wrote his Thesaurus, and it was proposed in the Philological Society in London, recognising the need for a comprehensive and historical dictionary rather than those that were then available, including Johnson's. And the first publication in 1884, in fact, it wasn't finished until 1928. It just goes on and on. And the offices for the Oxford English Dictionary were just next to my college when I was at university, and it was always a bit of a thrill to think, somebody could dedicate their life to one or two words, and that again is rather a lovely concept. So the OED began. This is sort of Carol Vorderman type connection here. The OED began 102 years after the publication of Johnson's dictionary and 5 years after the publication of Roget's Thesaurus, and the considerable gap between these works, and also the considerable link between these works, highlights the evolution and the increasing complexity of lexicographical endeavours over the 18th and the 19th century. But their influence today is so considerable. I think goes well beyond the provenance of a strange desk which used to be in Pembroke College, and I knew nothing of the desk in Pembroke. I used to have tutorials there, and I hadn't been told about this desk. I do remember the occasional painting being pointed out and the occasional drawing, and thinking that they were rather lovely. But these two impoverished sisters, the Lowe sisters, who sold a desk that they claimed was Dr. Johnson's, and that he wrote his dictionary on that desk, and that Dickens was taken in by this story. As the person who's been researching this, Professor Mugglestone, says someone's lying, and I absolutely agree. I don't think this desk is authentic, but even if it were, would it matter? What is authentic and what is important is not Dr. Johnson's room in Gogh Square, or his desk in Gogh Square now, on loan from Pembroke College. It was originally given by a man who'd acquired it from Corpus Christi College in Cambridge. So I don't really understand why it went from the one university to the other. But it's rather lovely that both universities are involved in the story, and that the story is about deceit, because deceit is linked to creativity. Creativity is linked to the use of language, and language is so wonderfully defined by the Oxford English Dictionary and the dictionary, the concept of the dictionary itself, and the joy that the dictionary brings. I have many happy hours reading the dictionary. Oh my gosh, you think, poor man. But no, really, I like words. I love the origin of words, and a dictionary that doesn't have etymological information is a dictionary not worth opening. But a dictionary with etymology, where you can suddenly trace back the origin of the word, the meaning of the word, and find where the word has flipped its meaning and changed its meaning over the centuries. That is lovely. And to revive an older meaning of a word on a whim, that seems entertaining.